Every morning after 60, your body sends you a quiet message before you even open your eyes. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, but it is deeply honest. It says, what you do in the first hour today will decide how strong I remain. Many people believe muscle loss is inevitable with age, especially in the legs. They think weakness is a sentence handed down by time. But biology tells a different story. Muscle does not disappear because you are old. It disappears because it is no longer given a reason to stay. The leg muscles are the largest muscles in the human body. They are the engines that carry you, protect your balance, and guard your independence. When they begin to waste away, it is not just a physical problem. It becomes a psychological one. People stop walking as much. They avoid stairs. They sit more. And the less they move, the faster the muscles fade. This is not aging. This is a cycle, and cycles can be broken. The first opportunity to interrupt this cycle arrives every morning. After a night of sleep, your body is in a fasted state. Blood sugar is low, muscle protein breakdown is slightly elevated, and your nervous system is waiting for a signal that says we are awake and we are building. What you eat first is not just food, it is information. It tells your muscles whether they are needed or expendable. One of the biggest mistakes older adults make is starting the day with carbohydrates alone, toast, jam, cereal, fruit juice. These foods spike blood sugar but deliver no clear message to muscle tissue. Insulin rises, energy fluctuates, and muscles receive no building signal. Over time, this pattern teaches the body to preserve fat and sacrifice muscle, especially in the legs. Muscle tissue responds to amino acids, particularly one called leucine. Leucine is a trigger. It turns on muscle protein synthesis like flipping a switch. After 60, your muscles become resistant to weak signals. They require a stronger message than they did at 40. This means small amounts of protein are no longer enough. A few bites here and they do not protect your legs. They must be challenged nutritionally. This is why the first thing you eat in the morning matters more now than ever before. A protein-rich first meal, taken early, sends a powerful signal to your legs that they are still essential. Eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, high-quality protein shakes, or even leftover fish or chicken. May NOT sound like traditional breakfast foods, but your muscles do not care about tradition. They care about chemistry. When protein enters your system in the morning, several things happen at once. Muscle breakdown slows, muscle building turns on, blood sugar stabilizes, inflammation decreases, and your nervous system becomes more alert. This combination creates an internal environment where leg muscles are protected rather than sacrificed. It is not about eating more. It is about eating with purpose. There is also a hormonal effect that few people talk about. Morning protein improves insulin sensitivity. This means nutrients are more likely to be delivered to muscle rather than stored as fat. Over time, this changes body composition. Legs feel firmer. Walking becomes easier. Getting out of a chair requires less effort. These are not small changes. These are quality of life changes. Many people wait until lunch to eat properly. By then, hours of muscle breakdown have already passed. The body has already adapted to scarcity. Starting the day with protein closes that gap. It shortens the window where muscle loss occurs and lengthens the window where muscle repair can happen. This does not require perfection. It requires consistency. Even 20 to 30 grams of protein in the morning can make a measurable difference. That might be 2 eggs and some yogurt. It might be a protein smoothie with added leucine. What matters is that your muscles recognize the signal day after day. There's also a psychological shift that occurs when you nourish yourself intentionally in the morning. Movement feels more natural. People who eat protein early tend to walk more, stand taller, and feel steadier on their feet. Strength invites movement, and movement preserves strength. Again, a cycle, but this time a positive one. Some worry about appetite or digestion in the morning. This is understandable. Start small if needed, but understand this. Muscles do not respond to intentions. They respond to nutrients. If you wait for hunger alone to guide you, muscle loss will quietly continue. Morning protein is not about desire. It is about defense. Think of your legs as valuable machinery. You would not leave expensive equipment without maintenance and expect it to function. Yet many people do exactly that with their bodies. They wait until weakness appears, until balance is compromised, until fear of falling sets in. But prevention is always easier than repair. Age does not demand weakness. It demands strategy. Muscles after 60 are not broken. They are simply cautious. They need a clear reason to stay. Every morning, you can give them that reason with the first thing you eat. This is not a miracle food. It is a message that says, I still need you, I still use you, stay strong. And when muscles hear that message consistently, they respond quietly, steadily, and powerfully, just like the body was designed to do. After the age of 60, many people quietly accept muscle loss as a natural law, something as unavoidable as gray hair or wrinkles. This belief is repeated so often that it feels scientific, but it is not entirely true. Muscle does not disappear simply because time has passed. It disappears because the body adapts to the signals it receives, and with age, those signals often become weaker, less frequent, or poorly timed. The most critical of these signals arrives in the morning when the body wakes up after hours of fasting and decides whether muscle tissue is worth protecting or slowly dismantling. During sleep, the body naturally shifts into a state where muscle breakdown slightly exceeds muscle building. This is normal and healthy. But when morning arrives, the body expects a clear instruction that the rebuilding phase should begin. In younger years, even a modest breakfast might be enough to flip that switch. After 60, the situation changes. Muscles become less sensitive to weak nutritional cues, a condition often described as anabolic resistance. This does not mean muscles are broken. It means they demand clarity. They need a stronger signal to justify their survival. When that signal does not arrive, the body makes a quiet but logical decision. It begins to conserve energy by reducing tissues that seem unnecessary. Leg muscles, despite being vital, are metabolically expensive. They require calories, blood flow, and constant repair. If the body does not sense regular use and proper nourishment, it slowly reallocates resources away from them. This is why leg muscle loss often begins subtly, with small changes in balance, slower walking speed, or difficulty standing up from a chair. These are not sudden failures. They are adaptations to missing information. Many people unknowingly worsen this process by starting the day with foods that raise blood sugar but provide little else. Carbohydrates alone send a confusing message. Energy rises briefly, insulin spikes, but muscles receive no clear instruction to rebuild. Over time, this pattern teaches the body that energy should be stored rather than invested in muscle tissue. Fat storage increases while muscle maintenance quietly declines. The legs, being large and resource demanding, are often the first to pay the price. The idea that aging itself causes weakness is comforting in a way because it removes responsibility. But biology is far less sentimental. The body responds to inputs, not excuses. After 60, the margin for error becomes smaller. Skipped signals matter more. Poorly timed. Nutrition matters more. The morning becomes a critical window, not because it is magical, but because it is decisive. In this fasted state, the body is highly responsive to what arrives first. It is listening closely. If the first signal is weak or incomplete, muscle breakdown continues longer than it should. Hours may pass before the body receives adequate instruction to shift into repair mode. By then, unnecessary loss has already occurred. Day after day, this adds up, creating the illusion of inevitable decline. What makes this process particularly deceptive is its slowness. Muscle loss does not announce itself. It whispers. It shows up as fatigue on stairs, as hesitation before standing, as a subtle fear of uneven ground. People adapt to these changes without realizing they are compensating for something preventable. They move less to feel safe, and moving less further confirms the body's decision to reduce muscle. The cycle tightens. The truth is that aging does not demand weakness, but it does demand precision. Muscles after 60 are selective. They no longer respond generously to vague signals. They require intentional communication. When that communication is absent, the body behaves exactly as it was designed to do. It preserves what it believes is necessary and lets go of what it believes is optional. Understanding this shifts the narrative from helplessness to strategy. Muscle loss is not a punishment for growing older. It is a response to missing instruction. And those instructions are most powerful when delivered early, clearly, and consistently. The morning is not just the start of the day. It is the moment when the body decides what kind of body it needs to be. Once this is understood, aging no longer feels like a downhill slide. It feels like a system that can still be guided. The body is not asking for youth. It is asking for clarity. And when clarity is provided, even later in life, muscles listen, adapt, and respond. When a protein-rich meal enters the body first thing in the morning, it does far more than satisfy hunger. It delivers a precise biological message that the body understands immediately, especially the muscles of the legs. After 60, this message becomes essential because muscle tissue no longer reacts strongly to weak or delayed signals. Protein, particularly in adequate amounts, acts like a switch that tells the body it is time to protect, repair, and invest in strength rather than dismantle it. Inside muscle cells are pathways that control growth and maintenance. One of the most important is activated by amino acids, with leucine playing a central role. Leucine does not slowly suggest muscle building, it directly triggers it. When protein is consumed in the morning, leucine levels rise in the blood at the exact time muscles are most receptive. This turns off prolonged muscle breakdown from the overnight fast and turns on muscle protein synthesis. Without this trigger, muscles remain in a conservation mode, slowly shrinking over time. Leg muscles benefit the most from this early signal because they are large and heavily involved in daily movement. The body prioritizes where nutrients go. When protein is present early, the nervous system and hormonal environment favor delivery of amino acids to muscle tissue instead of storing energy as fat. This is especially important after 60, when insulin sensitivity often declines. Morning protein improves how muscles respond to insulin, allowing nutrients to be absorbed efficiently rather than diverted elsewhere. Blood sugar stability is another critical effect. Starting the day with carbohydrates alone often causes rapid spikes and drops in glucose levels. These fluctuations increase fatigue, inflammation, and cravings later in the day. In contrast, protein slows digestion and moderates blood sugar response. Stable blood sugar reduces stress hormones that can contribute to muscle breakdown. This creates a calmer internal environment where muscles are not constantly under metabolic threat. As blood sugar stabilizes, energy becomes more reliable. People often notice they feel steadier, more alert, and less shaky when they include protein early. This has direct consequences for leg strength and balance. When energy levels are consistent, movement feels safer and more natural. Walking, standing, and climbing stairs require confidence as much as strength. Protein-supported energy helps restore that confidence. Over time, this daily signal compounds. Muscles respond not to occasional effort, but to repeated instruction. When the body receives a clear message every morning that muscle tissue is needed, it adapts by maintaining it. This adaptation is subtle at first. Legs may feel slightly stronger. Movements feel smoother. Fatigue appears later in the day. These small changes reinforce behavior, encouraging more activity, which further supports muscle preservation. There is also an inflammatory component to consider. Chronic low-grade inflammation increases with age and accelerates muscle loss. Adequate protein intake helps counter this by supporting repair processes and reducing inflammatory markers. When inflammation is lower, muscles recover more efficiently from everyday use. This means less soreness, quicker recovery, and a greater willingness to move the next day. Many people worry that eating more protein will strain the body or feel unnatural in the morning, but the body's response tells a different story. When protein is consumed early, appetite often becomes more regulated throughout the day. Cravings decrease, and portion control becomes easier without conscious restriction. This helps maintain a healthier body composition, which further reduces stress on the legs and joints. The preservation of leg muscles is not just about strength, it's about independence. Strong legs support posture, protect joints, and prevent falls. When protein intake supports these muscles, it indirectly supports confidence and autonomy. People are more willing to engage with life when their bodies feel reliable. That reliability begins with how the day starts. The most important aspect of this strategy is consistency. A single protein-rich breakfast will not reverse years of muscle loss, but repeated daily signals reshape how the body allocates its resources. Muscles are not stubborn, they are adaptive. When they sense regular nourishment and use, they stay. When those signals disappear, they leave. Morning protein is not a trend or a trick. It is a conversation with the body, spoken in a language it understands clearly. And when that conversation happens every day, leg muscles respond by holding their ground rather than quietly. Fading away consistency has a power that intensity alone can never replace, especially after 60. The body no longer responds dramatically to occasional effort, but it adapts deeply to repeated patterns. When morning protein becomes a daily habit, it creates a positive cycle that extends far beyond nutrition. Stronger legs encourage movement. Movement reinforces strength. And this loop slowly reshapes both the body and the mind. What begins as a simple dietary choice becomes a structural change in how aging is experienced. When leg muscles are properly nourished in the morning, they recover faster and perform more efficiently throughout the day. This changes how movement feels. Walking becomes smoother, standing up feels less demanding, and balance improves without conscious effort. These small improvements reduce the hesitation that often appears with age. People stop second-guessing their steps. They trust their bodies again. That trust is critical because fear of movement is one of the fastest accelerators of physical decline. As confidence in movement returns, activity considered extra gradually becomes normal again. Short walks become longer. Stairs feel manageable. Standing tasks are done without looking for a chair. None of this feels like exercise. It feels like living. And this is where the real transformation happens. Muscles respond best to regular use, not heroic workouts. Every step taken with confidence sends another signal that the legs are needed, useful, and worth maintaining. This increased movement further improves insulin sensitivity and circulation. Blood flow to the legs becomes more efficient, delivering oxygen and nutrients while removing waste products. Better circulation supports nerve function, which improves coordination and reaction time. These physiological changes reduce the risk of falls and injuries, which are often the turning points that push people into long-term inactivity. Preventing that first fall can preserve years of independence. Hormonal responses also shift in a favorable direction. Regular protein intake combined with daily movement supports healthier levels of growth-related hormones and reduces excess cortisol, a stress hormone that contributes to muscle breakdown. Lower cortisol means muscles are no longer being constantly told to sacrifice themselves for energy. Instead, the body learns that resources are available and that strength is sustainable. Over weeks and months, this cycle compounds. Muscle mass stabilizes or even increases slightly. Fat mass often decreases, reducing load on the hips, knees, and ankles. Joint pain may lessen simply because muscles are doing their job more effectively. This makes movement even more appealing, further reinforcing the cycle. The body begins to age in a different pattern, one marked by maintenance rather than loss. There is also a mental shift that occurs when physical capability improves. People who feel strong in their legs tend to think differently about aging. They plan outings without calculating where to sit. They engage socially without worrying about fatigue. This psychological freedom has real biological effects. Reduced stress improves sleep quality, which further supports muscle recovery. Better sleep enhances appetite regulation and hormonal balance, strengthening the cycle even more. The key to this process is not motivation but structure. Waiting to feel inspired often leads to inconsistency. But when morning protein and gentle daily movement become non-negotiable routines, the body no longer relies on willpower. It responds automatically. Muscles expect nourishment. The nervous system expects activity. The system stabilizes. This is why people who adopt these habits often say they feel younger, even though nothing magical has happened. What they are experiencing is alignment. Their inputs match their biological needs. Aging becomes less about decline and more about adaptation. The body stops fighting itself and starts cooperating. Importantly, this positive cycle does not require extreme measures. It does not demand perfection or intensity. It asks for respect of timing, consistency, and purpose. A body that is consistently supported will consistently respond. Even after years of neglect, Muscles retain the ability to adapt when the environment changes. The preservation of leg strength becomes a foundation for everything else. When the base is stable, confidence grows. When confidence grows, life expands. And when life expands, the body finds reasons to remain strong. Rather than retreat into weakness, everything you have heard comes down to one quiet truth. Your body is not failing you because of age. It is responding exactly to the signals you give it. Leg muscle loss after 60 is not a sudden collapse, but a slow withdrawal that happens when the body no longer feels clearly needed or properly supported. The most powerful opportunity to change that conversation arrives every single morning when your body is listening most closely. Strength is not rebuilt through force, but through consistency. When you begin the day by giving your muscles the nutrients they recognize and the message they understand, you shift your biology from defense to preservation. Over time, this choice changes how you move, how you balance, and how confident you feel in your own body. Walking becomes less cautious. Standing becomes more natural. Life feels more accessible again. Aging does not demand surrender, it demands awareness. When you respect the timing of nourishment and the importance of daily movement, your body responds with resilience. The legs, which carry you through every chapter of life, do not ask for miracles, they ask for clarity, repetition, and care. You are not too old to protect your strength, and you are not powerless against decline. Each morning is a fresh instruction to your body about who you are and how you intend to live. And it all begins with the first thing you choose to eat when the day begins.